like to call this council work session of October 2nd already to order. Okay, first point of business is we have people here from the Historical Foundation who wants to talk about Bristol Day.
Yes, okay, just a brief introduction. First of all, I want to thank the council and all of you for all the support that you've given us. This is our 50th anniversary, and we've had a lot of events this year, and the 41st Historic Bristol Day. Yeah. When I counted on my fingers, I had 40, but it's 41 to people who know. So, at any rate, I want to thank all of you again, and I want to turn it over to Mary, who has a lot of information about that day. Thank you.
Okay. Mary Gesualdi, Chair of Bristol Day. I, too, want to thank you for your continued support of Bristol Day. Of course, you know that the big attraction this year is the beautiful new tall ship Gazella on our beautiful docks. And there will be free tours all day on October 21st. There is a Bristol connection related to the Gazella that we just found out about. In 2002, the Philadelphia Ship Preservation Guild needed an 85-foot Douglas fir log transported from Oregon to Philadelphia, a very expensive undertaking. And Bristol's own San Ferruggio, president of Ferruggio Express, arranged for that log to be shipped at a savings of $10,000. And that log now stands proudly as the mizzen mast on the Gazella. So wherever the Gazella goes, a piece of Bristol goes with it. So that was interesting to find out. Some of the other events, I can't name all of them, or you'll give me the hook tonight, I'm afraid. We have 5 beautiful homes that will be open for touring. We have Jim and Debbie Fine's home, 120 Walnut Street, with an exhibit about World War I on the 100th anniversary of the start of World War I and its impact on Bristol. Michael Gorman and Ron McGuckin's house at 324 Ratcliffe will be open. Regina and Mark Swift's home at 336 Ratcliffe. That's the oldest home on our tour this year. And there will be a display of antique dolls, tea sets, children's shoes, and accessories there. Lou and Sissy Catrocci's home at 800 Ratcliffe Street will be open, and it's going to be like Christmas in October with their holiday display. Ron and Ronnie Walker's residence at 922 Ratcliffe Street, and they will be hosting the annual tea and featuring the harpist Martina Miller. And on the driveway of Sue and Paul Monte's house at 1000 Ratcliffe Street will be a display of Rodney Miller's artwork with a scavenger hunt using his Doors of Bristol. Also, there will be free tours of Dad's Hat Whiskey, and Esquire magazine named them one of the top 10 distilleries in the country. Some of the other events, we will have the sailboat regatta on the river, crafters on the 200 and 300 block of Ratcliffe. We will have our food court with over 14 vendors behind the theater. We will have shuttle buses donated by the Bristol Borough School District transporting our visitors with an added stop on Mill Street so that people will see our businesses on Mill Street. A car show at Snyder Girardi School, an archaeological dig at the Bristol Cultural and Historic Foundation building at 321 Cedar Street with our own Jesse Walker and Megan Ruttini. At the Children's Corner at the Grundy Library, we will have Bristol Rocks, which is the new craze where children and adults are painting rocks. And we have Joy Borsavich and the artists of Bristol will be painting rocks and hiding them at the wharf.
Very cool.
Laurie Halkowski's students from Snyder Girardi will be doing a wax museum, and they will be pretending to be historic Bristol figures, past and present. and Jim Kirk will be helping the children make miniature gazellas. Our St. Mark's students will do a first-person portrayal of the Bristolians that are buried in St. Mark's Cemetery. And the Margaret Grundy Museum, celebrating their 50th anniversary, will have a special exhibit in the library. Everything is free that day, except for the house tours and the tea. And tickets can be purchased in advance for $12 or $15 the day of the event at Great IDs by Ann, the Borough Tax Office, Mignoni's, the library, and the Bristol Pharmacy. So we hope everyone will come out and celebrate Bristol with us.
Thank you, Larry.
Thank you.
Okay.
A couple things. This past week, Merle and I attended a meeting in Burlington County on, it's called the Secured Waters plan that they're developing. It's Burlington County had gotten a Homeland Security grant to develop an all-hazards plan for the waterfront. And the benefit to us out of this plan is that we'll be able to take a lot of that information and utilize it on this side of the river. So we have an open invitation to attend the rest of the meetings, and we'll be able to get a copy of that plan when it's done, and it should be very helpful to us. I'm waiting for a reply from KIDA on the first 500 smoke alarm, CO alarms. What we're going to do is do an electronic funds transfer. We've gotten the money for the first 500 CO alarms from the federal government, and as soon as that electronic transfer is ready, we'll be ordering the first 500. This week, October 5th, at the Lennox property, America Hose Hook and Ladder number 2 is sponsoring a fire prevention open house at the Lennox property. And on October 22nd, St. Mark's will be having their annual Blue Mass at 10:45. And then the last thing, I had met with you and Councilman Quattrochi about the parking. I went down and measured that off, and with some modification, you'll be able to pick up 2 additional parking spaces. Found out that the yellow line, which is supposed to be 30 feet down at Mill and Wood, is actually 40 feet. You can pick up 10 feet there. There's also a handicap spot there that's 28 feet long. And there's no handicap space in the 300 block of Mill Street. So if council would consider moving that parking space, let's say, to a meter in the 300 block, you would be able to pick up 2 additional parking spaces on Wood Street. And I had sent a copy of a drawing to Mr. Salerno and Mr. Dillon, and I have a copy, and if you want to talk about that at some point. But we can pick up an extra 2 spaces there.
Billy, we went out there and met with Herbie and worked everything out. So does this have to be done by ordinance? Does an ordinance have to be changed?
Yes, so my understanding is we're now going to designate 4 spots for the firefighters, 2 on Wood and 2 on Market.
Right.
We're going to open up some spots across the street.
Yes.
So we're going to remove that yellow line. So yes, the ordinance needs to be changed, so on the agenda for next Tuesday will be council's authorization to advertise that. I'll have a copy of the ordinance changes, and then you can adopt that in November.
And if you consider that other modification that I just suggested, you will pick up 2 spaces on Wood Street.
Jim, why don't you go out and, I don't know who would, why it's there. I don't know if it was put there just because it's on the corner of Mill, or was it put there because there was a handicapped person? I don't know, maybe, Joe, you guys can look into that too and figure out why that spot, or Merle, somebody come up with an idea why that spot is put on Wood Street when we don't need it on Wood.
Generally, the average size of the size of a parking space is 20 feet. That space is 28 feet, and then there's an extra 10 feet of yellow line there for some reason.
So we can white that stuff out and just have people park, remove the handicap sign,
Yeah, I don't see
right?
why
So
not.
we'll pick up spots there.
2 spots.
All right. And are they metered spots?
No, not the spots that we're
But
talking about.
nothing on Wood Street is metered?
Metered anymore.
Okay. All right. Any questions for the fire chief?
That's what he's talking about.
Before I go on. Mary, did you tell everybody what time this thing starts and all?
No, I did.
Why don't you do that? I'm just thinking why Herbie's
Yeah,
talking.
good point. So Saturday, October 21st, from 10 o'clock to 4.
So 10 to 4 is, that's when it ends at 4 o'clock.
Absolutely.
And there'll be food vendors, and thank you for all you do and your whole organization.
We're happy to do it.
Joe, you have anything to report on the chief, or?
I don't have anything unless you guys have anything for me.
No. Anybody have anything? Joe's filling in. The chief's out of town.
I just want to say, we were having a problem with cars being broken into on West Circle and in that area. And I was told that the person was arrested, and I'm really happy that you guys took care of that. That was amazing. Friends of ours live on the back street, and they said that somebody broke in their car and took change, and the next night they broke in and took other stuff, you know, just different things out of the car, and it was upsetting to them. So I'm really glad that, you know, that the person was caught.
Saturday night.
Yeah, so that's great. Thank you so much.
Anybody else have anything for Joe? Then we'll get to the mayor event.
And his wife, they kept getting broken into. Kept getting
Lorraine, you have anything else?
into the car.
Have
No,
anything else?
no,
Ray?
thank you.
No, I'm sorry.
Tony?
No, I don't have anything.
Louis? Man, this week could be record time tonight.
I just want to bring up a couple things. I wanted to thank the Rotary Club. They had their golf outing honoring Linda Grass from Lower Bucks Hospital, and this is an event that the Rotary raises for scholarship money for Bristol Borough, Bristol Township students, and they, in the past, they've given anywhere from $10,000 to $15,000 a year in scholarships. So according to the success of the events, so today they had beautiful weather, and hopefully it was a successful event. I wanted to thank the Small Business Revolution and the Deluxe Corporation. Thursday night was the viewing night of the first 2 episodes. It was very well attended at St. Mark's. But the part that really got me is I came home and I'm watching TV and I see this advertisement for Bristol Borough from the Small Business Revolution. And since then I've seen it
During Eagles
several Eagles halftime they showed it. So if you didn't know where Bristol Borough was beforehand, I think you'll know where it is now. And just one more comment about the dock. I can't say enough because it's like they're giving stuff away on Mill Street and down at the wharves now because it's always packed on the weekends, and even during the weeks you see boats in and out. So this has really been a great project for our town. That's all I have.
Thank you. Dave?
Yeah, I'm happy to report that Sammy Ross's house on Lake Street is it's been in disrepair for about 15 years since Sam and his wife passed. A fellow by the name of Eddie Williams and his wife purchased it. When I was growing up, Mr. Ross's house was one of the nicest houses in the borough, with a huge Florida room on top of a hill overlooking a field. So just want to welcome Eddie and his wife back into town. They're moving back from Tullytown, and should be a real shot in the arm for the North Ward, Pine Street, Lake Street, and Spruce Street.
Great.
Is that
That's all I
it?
got.
Joe?
Already? I don't have much. Other than, I want to thank Herbie and Merle for taking the time to reach out, as he explained, to Burlington as they're developing this all-hazard plan along the river, which, you know, Ralph, that, you know, we've had some concerns when we were putting the docks in and all council about how to manage it, how to handle emergency response and so forth. I think this plan will really clear up some of the challenges that we talked about previously, but also, too, we're getting more involvement from Burlington and the state police who actually control, or the Marine police, who control the response along there. So if we have a problem on our docks, they might be one of the first responders. Also, too, just real quick, and something Lorraine mentioned, I know there were some things on Facebook over the weekend. I'm not a big Facebook person, but concerning our police department and some response time, just like to tell people out there that, our police department is doing an excellent job from my perspective. There are times when our officers are tied up on other calls, even though your call may seem to you to be the most important, and I would think it would be me, if it was my call, I'm the most important. But there are other calls that were going on at the time that surely needed their attention before we responded to another call. So I just wanted to make that clear that our guys are doing a great job. There are a lot of calls out there that they have to prioritize. What do I take first? And that's it.
I'm sorry, I'm late. Why, are we there already?
Yeah, we're there.
Oh, no, hold on.
Explain where she's been, and then, 1 minute, I'll go next.
Yeah, you go next.
All right. I just want to talk about a couple things. One is the tree ordinance that we have in town. A lot of people seem to have problems with trees. They have a sewer line or something that these trees are growing into, and then they want to take the tree down. And then our ordinance says you have to put a tree back. So I would like to change this ordinance where it says it's to the discretion of either the borough manager or the borough inspector when they go out. If you have 3 trees within 30 feet, there's no reason to put that tree back because they're only growing into one another. So I think right now it says 100 feet.
150, I think.
Every 150 feet, there has to be a tree. Now, we don't want to go that far on certain streets because it's going to look bare. But I think that we really need to reconsider. This ordinance been in for I don't know how many years. And I think it's causing a lot of problems throughout town I talked to a guy on Buckley Street, and I talked to another guy on Spruce Street that had some issues. They took trees down in the borough, gave them so many days to put them back. And he said, it doesn't make sense. You want me to put a tree back to where I just replaced my sewer. So, and I could understand that. Their sidewalks may only be 12 feet, the house may only be 12 feet wide, and you got a tree on every property. So I like to,
So what's, from what to what, you're saying?
well, our ordinance, I think, says 100, I thought it was 100 feet.
It might be, I'm looking for it now.
Every 100 feet, like if somebody's doing a new development,
Right,
every 100 feet, you gotta have a tree.
right,
Or Billy might say 150 feet.
right.
What I'm saying is, you take Lafayette Street, you take a street, any street in Harriman, there's trees on every property. So, if you take a tree down, you shouldn't really have to put that tree right back in. If your 2 neighbors have a tree that's already growing into one another, then you're planting this.
Yeah, I don't disagree, I don't disagree. I'm just wondering about the wording, is all I'm saying. Like, I don't think we don't want in the next 20 years for all of our streets to be.
That's why I said, maybe we could say, if there's a tree within so many feet of either side of that,
Right,
we say 50 feet.
I got you.
If there's a tree within 50 feet of either direction, we don't need to put a tree back. And the other thing I think we should really start considering is people that take these trees down are putting bushes in.
Yeah, I was going to say
They're
that.
putting trees in that look like my pen.
Right.
And it really cheapens up what's going on. So I think we really need to start.
But there was a list that they were supposed to follow.
There is. But I think we need to start not citing people, but being nice about it, give them a reminder saying, bushes are not allowed out on sidewalks and things like that. Because if you go down some streets, the bush got so big, you can't even open a car door. So what is the sense of having that? So I don't know how you want me to approach this, or something
Let me
that
see what the current regulations are.
maybe next month we
We'll
can
talk about it, right.
get all this information available for the November meeting. I like to get this put in by next year, so, and I think the people that we're having an issue with, maybe give them a little bit more time until we can work this out.
But remember, the ordinance is clear that trees are the responsibility of the adjacent
Property owner.
property.
Exactly. But what I'm saying is if a property owner's coming in because their sidewalk lifted, or they're having an issue with a sewer line or water line, they're paying to take it down, they're doing everything they have to do, but then we're telling them, put another tree in that spot. Am I right, Brittany? I mean, Brittany handles this most of the time, so I think we need to look at it on, every case, on a case basis.
One issue, though, I've gotten this argument with people when they say, the tree got into my sewer, and that the tree's the problem. And that's not the case. The sewer's the problem. When you have an old Orangeburg sewer, or even cast iron with a joint every 4 foot, the tree branch gets in there, it's seeking the water. But if you're replacing your sewer today, you're putting PVC piping in, and the trees don't enter the piping, so that solves, that solves one of the problems. Trees, they give us shade in the summer when we need it, they give us light in the winter, they take out the carbon dioxide. I mean, I don't want to sound like a...
No, I agree, Louis.
But we need...
I'm just saying, we don't want to, if you have 3 trees within 30 feet,
No, I agree.
I don't think there's a reason to put another tree between, maybe we say within so many feet of either direction.
And I think even though the tree is a responsibility of the homeowner, if you walk down the street sometime, you see a branch that's low, and it's almost like that's going to be a problem in 5 years, because that branch is going to be still at the same spot, but it's going to be a lot bigger, and we either have to get the homeowners to make sure when these are new trees, they they keep them manicured so they'll grow up, or we're going to have to go out.
Well, that was my next statement is, I know it's very expensive, but I think we need to figure a way to lift even the path. People riding a bike or walking down a path, they're walking into, trees. So even the street sweeper can't get close enough to the curb because of some of the trees. So we should just have a discussion maybe in the wintertime on how we're going to address this for the spring. And then whether we hire somebody to go today, street sweepers out, just go down the street and start whacking some low branches. I mean, it shouldn't take somebody, you don't need a bucket truck, or you just go down anything low, you just take off.
Do we still have a shade tree commission? Or is that?
I have no idea.
Not active.
Maybe we could,
There used to be shade, I remember Eddie
Eddie
Jenkins
Barber
was
had it.
was chairman for that for years.
Ed Jenkins?
Yeah.
Wow.
maybe we can look at that.
So a tree in my yard, I could go ahead and take it down or whatever, but out front, you need a permit, right?
Anything in your yard's yours.
Right, so out front, you need a permit before you take it down, correct?
It's not a permit, you're signing it in note, Brittany, that says you'll put one back, so there is really no permit.
Yeah, regarding, I know the guy I'm over there all the time, the guy on Buckley Street, not only did it wrap around his sewer pipe and tear that, and the cement was lifted up several inches, but it grew over top of his gas shut-off. They can't shut the gas off, and it was encroaching on the gas meter up against his house. His gas meter's on the front porch, and it's all twisted up. So, I know, that's just,
I think it's something we need to have a discussion on.
yeah.
And the last thing is, the docks are supposed to close the end of this month. I think we really should keep them open, weather permitted.
Yes.
I mean, there's no reason for us to lock that gate if the weather's cooperating. So I don't know, we just picked a date in the beginning. I'm working on a committee that I'm forming with some people with the Grundy Foundation, the bank, and some other, citizens throughout town, and some council members, that we're going to review everything that took place this year, what we did right, what we did wrong, how do we improve on it. So it's another thing that we'll work on over the winter. So come next spring, we're ready to go with a whole new, program out there. But like Louis said, I mean, you can't imagine the people that are using. The King George said they tripled their business on
Yep.
Sunday. That's how many people are in there with boats,
So
so.
it's the cantina. Cantina's packed.
Everybody's busy.
Eatery too, packed.
Right.
Hi there, it's
He's smiling. Betty, you want to talk about this food festival that we
Yeah,
got
I just have
involved
a
in?
couple items I want to discuss first real quickly. I'm sorry, I apologize to everyone for being late. I was at a fundraiser that we're planning, but I'll get to that after I just quickly mention that, of course, October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. So, keep that in mind. Make sure you go out and get, I'm sure you probably already said it, go out and get your mammograms. It's really important. Also this past weekend, this month is also Domestic Violence Awareness. And on Saturday, we painted the town purple. They went around town and tied some ribbons. They do this every year. And it's a great event. It's, to bring awareness to women that are, or men, or anybody that's violently abused. Tomorrow night at 6 o'clock, there's a candle vigil at the theater. It's at 6 o'clock, and they're going to go outside and light candles. And it's, right after they have refreshments, nothing big, but, they wanted to do this, and they're coming to our historic Bristol Borough to do this tomorrow night at 6. Since April, we've been involved in this ethnic food fundraiser. The object was to bring to the town people that would come in and try different types of food: Italian, Puerto Rican, African American, Polish, and Irish. We tried to get other people in the group involved, but that's where we got to that. We've been working on it all summer long, and the proceeds, each team captain was going to get a certain amount of the proceeds and give it to whoever they wanted to as a charity. Because of the recent events that have happened in Puerto Rico, I'm sorry. I'm just so honored that everybody has decided to give the money to Puerto Rico. That shows what a town we have, that everyone is willing to do this to help the people of Puerto Rico. I'm sure everyone in this town knows somebody in Puerto Rico or has family in Puerto Rico. I'm sorry.
It's all right.
A lot of people are working really hard. I know a lot of people can't make it. It's $20 a ticket. They have a cash bar, and you get to try all the different types of foods that we're donating. We have a lot of donations coming in. It is this Saturday at 4 o'clock at number 3. If you cannot make it, just a small donation, just buy a ticket.
Betty, I don't know if everyone heard you say where it is.
At number 3's Firehouse on Mifflin Street. 190 Mifflin Street. I'm just thrilled and I'm overwhelmed by all the people that turned around quickly and said, give it all to them. We're going to give it to an organization that's legit, because I know a lot of people think, well, who's getting the money, who's taking the money, who's doing, we're not going to just say to somebody, here you go. We're researching it. The Puerto Rican Culture Association, I heard, is donating $1,000. And they're also selling lottery tickets. Karen Rosado is selling a lottery ticket tree raffle. They're $30, 30 tickets for $20, 13 tickets for $10, 3 tickets for $5. They'll be there also. There'll be a lot of vendors there. It turned out to be what we thought would be interesting when we have a town that has so many monuments that represent so many different people that come together and be able to sit there and try, because that's what it was going to be, like a taste test. Like you'd come and you'd try some African food or some Irish food or Italian food. And we worked on it all summer, we met all summer, and it's turned out to be now to help Puerto Rico. So I'm asking, if, I know people are busy, if you cannot attend it, if you'd like to donate or buy a ticket, you could reach me or you could reach Hermie. Hermie's the one that started this. And like I said, all the proceeds will go to Puerto Rico. And people just don't understand. We have a lot of drop-off areas. Miguel's Barbershop on Market Street is a drop-off area. There's a Pastor Torres who has collected trucks and trucks and trucks full of stuff, and it's all getting shipped there. It's not a matter of, I think in the United States, every state will be giving something. Puerto Rican people love to give, just like we like to receive, but everybody's making these collections, batteries, medicine, over-the-counter medicine, clothing, Pampers, formula. Everybody's sending stuff, and people are like, why are we still asking? We're not asking. We're helping. We'll help our people. But what we need is someone there to distribute it, because Puerto Rico is not a flat island. It's got mountains, and people can't get to where they need to get to. We can't get to them, not me. We can't get to them. They can't get to us. Everything is in San Juan, but people are trying. So it's going to be probably a long time before everything is even running the way it should be. But I think together it's going to eventually be what it used to be. And I'm sorry again that I was late, that's where I was, but thank you, sorry.
I think it's a great cause, everybody coming together. Like Betty said, this started in the summertime. My wife, Mike Dube, and Carla Franceschini, and Mike's wife Joan were Team Italian. So Thursday night they'll all be cooking at my house.
Yeah.
So if you want, to get ready for this thing. But I think when we said the proceeds would go to Puerto Rico, I think that hopefully we could pack this place and, everybody's doing their thing to make this happen. But the ethnic festival was a great idea to bring everybody together, to show what our town's all about. But since this tragedy, and it hit in Florida, it hit in Texas, but Puerto Rico is devastated right now. So, we're all honored to support this cause. So like Betty said, if you could buy a ticket, if you could come, it's $20. All the food that's being cooked, the teams are donating the food. So like we're buying all the food to cook the Italian food. People that are doing the Puerto Rican food are buying the food. So 100% of the ticket sales will go to the Puerto Rico for the relief. And I think Joel Baracall is handling all the financial end of this. So, he's an honest kid, and everybody knows that he's going to make sure the money goes to where it's supposed to go. Okay, that's about all I have. Jim?
Okay, for next Monday, there's a proposed time extension for Mill Run, extending the land development time period. I believe the project is moving ahead without too many difficulties. So hopefully it should be on your agenda, hopefully in my mind, at your November meeting. But we need a time extension for Mill Run. Authorize a resolution to confirm compliance with this subdivision application for 538 Bass Street. That was in your packet, so that'll be on the agenda. In your packet was the general fund year-end estimates at this time. We're continuing to update those figures, and we're now working on the 2018 figures for all the budgets, and hopefully we'll have those in the next few weeks. Also in your packet was a list of the sewer projects that was brought up at a recent meeting and by email to me. So it's in your packet. Close to $2.8 million of upgrades, and the projects were all bid. The contractors are listed, and some of the projects are out to bid with the estimates. So if there's any questions, please feel free to email me or give me a call. And last but not least, with the leaves falling, we're requesting, and it is an ordinance, not to put your leaves in the gutter because that creates drainage problems and it inhibits our street sweeper from doing a good job of sweeping. So please do not put leaves in the gutters. Dispose of those according to the regulations. So.
Which are, the trash, company will pick them up, is it the first Wednesday?
We'll have that, I believe it's the second in November, but they're not supposed to be, put into the gutter. That's the problem. And all of a sudden, leaves are falling, and we're starting to see a lot of excess leaves. So that's it. That's all we have.
Thursday, I think, isn't it? First
Yeah,
Thursday?
we have it on the TV.
Right. So it'll be this week, then at some point it will be every week for like 6 weeks.
Got it.
But for now, it's this Thursday.
So do we have anything then for Monday? And if not, then do we need a meeting Monday?
You accept the time extension this evening and authorize that resolution. I don't see any reason to meet to.
Accept the extension.
What do you guys think?
You can do all three.
Okay with
I'm okay
it?
with
Dave? Yeah, just do it tonight, we have nothing.
Because we're going to start budget meetings in October.
All right, so what do we need to do?
Motion to suspend the rules to add those 3 items.
Make a motion to suspend the rules to make the 60-day extension for the land development, authorize the adoption of the resolution to confirm compliance with Resolution 7-2016 regarding Molden subdivision application for 538 Bath Street, and to authorize the advertising ordinance to permit firefighting parking spaces on Wood Street.
Got a second motion and a second. We need a motion to suspend the rules first.
That's what she
That's
did.
it.
That was it.
Suspend the rules and vote on it.
And then-
And we'll have to do each motion.
Motion first to suspend the rules.
You did that. Motion to
Okay.
suspend.
Anybody opposed to suspending the rules? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, now she
Okay.
made 3 motions.
Do them separately.
Do them separately.
Need a motion to accept the 60-day extension of time on the land development for 1201 Wilson Avenue to December 11th, 2017.
Pezza, questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
I'd like to make a motion to authorize the adoption of resolution to confirm compliance with Resolution 7-2016 regarding Molden subdivision application for 538 Bath Street.
Second by? Comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
I'd like to make a motion to authorize advertising the ordinance to permit firefighting parking spaces on Wood Street.
Ms. Collin, questions or comments? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Before we adjourn, anybody in public participation? Participation. I brought Kurt here this evening, 5 minutes. We want to just bring everybody up to date on the wharf, where we are with the wharf, and some of the repairs that have to get done.
Not to the new dock.
I'm sure a lot of people have been wondering, the wharf structure's been kind of dismantled for a while, and, what's going on down there. It's an old building, so when we took off a lot of the facade, you start looking at the structure of it, and, it had some issues. So we're working on trying to come up with a way to remediate that and to stabilize it for, before we spend money putting it back together, make sure that it's got good structure and it's going to hold up for a long time. So we have a pretty good game plan that's coming together this week, and we're hoping by Wednesday we'll have the information needed to get guys to start reassembling it. And, that'll happen over the next several weeks. It'll take some time. So that's going to look real sharp when it's done. It's going to have new state-of-the-art lights underneath it, and new facade around the whole thing. It's going to look like a well-kept, improved building there. The boat dock project, you might have seen some contractors out there. Simpson and Brown came back in town. We've been really chasing them around town, trying to get them to come back, but they're making good on everything. that we've asked of them. Took a little arm twisting, took a lot of arm twisting, but they are going to paint the pilings this week, and there's maybe a few very small, minor items that they're wrapping up. And then we still have some stuff we're wrapping up. You know, it's amazing. We had a lot of grants that came in, and the logistics of these grants and the paperwork that goes with it, it's unbelievable how much documentation we've had to put together. But that's coming together pretty good as well. So,
Just to let everybody know that if the pilings that are out there, if you looked at them, the paint, they touched them up and it didn't look good. So we wanted them repainted. They didn't want to repaint them. They said they did what they were supposed to do, and there were some odds and ends, and they were looking for final payment. So basically, we had a meeting, and we're holding 250,000
Yep.
or more, right?
about that.
About 250,000. So we told them, if you don't paint the poles, we're not releasing the 250,000. So I think we held their foot to the fire, even though they did what they were supposed to do, but, you know.
It's been a lot of time delayed too. You know,
Yeah.
we told them, look, you know, you guys, we won't hit you with liquidated damages that we possibly could have recouped if you leave the project looking like it should, which is a brand-new facility.
Right, so basically, just so everybody knows, we're holding $250,000 of their money until they finish this little punch list. So,
Kurt, the letters that were on the wharf, you know, that said Bristol, PA, or whatever, were they preserved, or is
Yes.
that? Yeah. On the wharf. Yeah.
What Tom Rudisell did?
Yeah.
Yeah.
they're
that's
down at the
preserved,
Borough
right?
Yard.
Good, good. Maybe
So everybody understands as long as the work, if you see anybody out there working and whatever, it's still on the original contract.
And we're not paying for it.
Until we're 100% satisfied that we're not releasing any of their money,
Okay.
all right? Any other questions or comments from anybody?
A motion to adjourn.
Second by Mr. Ricchio.